Hello and welcome back to the next episode of Stream Time Sports. My name is Chris Stone. I'm the community lead. This week, we're taking a deep dive into one of the biggest shifts happening in sports media today, the convergence of premium sport entertainment and streaming under a single platform. At our recent SportsPro London event, we had the opportunity to hear from David Gibbs, the Senior Vice President of Sports Product at Warner Brothers Discovery, to unpack the strategy behind the UK launch of HBO Max and what it means for the future of sports viewing. To understand why this conversation matters, it's worth taking a step back first. Over the past decade, viewers have been pulled across an increasingly fragmented streaming landscape. Warner Brothers Discovery itself has operated multiple services and brands across different markets, including Discovery Plus, Eurosport Player, BT Sport, TNT Sports, and now HBO Max. Following the Warner Media and Discovery merger, the company's challenge became clear. How do you bring world-class entertainment, premium sport, and factual content together in a way that makes sense for the consumers? The latest HBO Max launch is the company's answer to that, and there's few people better placed to discuss that transformation than David. Before joining Warner Brothers Discoveries, he spent many years at Sky and Comcast, helping shape some of the UK's most important digital and streaming products, including Sky Go, Sky Glass, and Sky Stream. Today, he leads sports product innovation for one of the world's largest streaming businesses, overseeing experiences that serve millions of viewers across dozens of markets and languages. In this conversation, David explains how Warner Brothers Discovery is combining live sport entertainment and personalized streaming into a single proposition. He talks about delivering more than 35,000 live events annually, the lessons they learned from this year's Olympics, and why features such as multiview, key moments, personalized recommendations, and AI-driven experiences are becoming central to how fans consume sports. What makes this interview particularly interesting is that it's not really a discussion about technology for technology's sake. It's a conversation about fan behavior. How do you help viewers find the moments that matter? How do you make massive events like the Olympic Games easier to navigate? And as streaming becomes more personalized, how do you preserve the shared live moments that make sports so powerful in the first place? If you're interested in the future of sports broadcast, streaming strategy, product innovation, or simply hearing where live sports and an increasingly digital media ecosystem, this is a conversation you'll want to hear. So from here, I'll hand things over for our conversation with David Gibbs from Warner Brothers Discovery.
Hi, everyone. Hi, great to be here. I'm Greg.
I'm Dave Gibbs.
We're going to get straight stuck into this. David, I've got to ask you first and foremost about the UK launch of HBO Max, particularly given that Warner Brothers Discovery has had a kind of somewhat fragmented kind of streaming landscape over the years. You've been on a journey, Eurosport, TNT Sports, Discovery Plus, HBO, bringing that together under HBO Max. What has that journey been like as a business?
So it's been a kind of messy journey. I think it's been, we are at heart Warner Brothers at heart is a legacy media brand, right? Everyone knows Warner Brothers, and we've kind of built our streaming proposition from a variety of launches, strategic launches, big bets, M&A, and really HBO Max is solves the problem that we kind of created ourselves and the industry created, because as we fragmented, the customers had lots more choice. So, we've had Dplay, D+, Eurosport Player, BT Sport, TNT, HBO Max, back to HBO Max. And really, if you're a customer, and Warner Bros. Is a family brand, right? So, if you're a customer and you wanted to watch House of Dragons, you were going to HBO Max or Sky. If you wanted to watch the Premier League, you were going to BT Sport. If you wanted to watch the Olympics, you were going to Eurosport. If you wanted to watch 90 Day Fiancé, you were going to Discovery Plus, which makes absolutely no sense for a customer when they're being asked to subscribe to all of these other services as well as they begin to cut the cord. So what we've done over time, which really culminated in our UK launch over the last couple of weeks, is really bring all of that together in one place, one single destination, that really solves the problem for the customer. It also solves a problem for us as a business, so that we only have to support one platform, one login, one brand, one identity. But ultimately, this was really about bringing all of that amazing content together in one place, personalizing it for the customer, one destination, one choice that they have to make.
Yeah, and I guess with that comes scale, right? I mean, I can imagine that scale is something that is particularly important And what does scale kind of really mean for you, in terms of markets, content breadth, and ambition, particularly, and like how are you defining success at this stage?
Yeah, I mean, scale for us. So we are, our ambition is to be a top 3 global streamer. So we have 130 million subscribers currently. We're in 100 markets, 40 different languages. Our ambition is to get to 150. And I think if you look at it from a sports perspective, what does scale mean? We have different sports propositions in different markets. We're a global sports brand. We have TNT in the US. We have TNT in LATAM. We have TNT in the UK. We have Eurosport in 40-odd European territories. So our ambition there is different depending on what market we're in and the proposition that we have to the customer. But if you think about that at a product at a platform level, which is my job, scale for us means, we will deliver over 35,000 live events this year, 35,000 live events, 40-odd languages, 100 different markets. Like that is what scale means to us from a product perspective as well as a customer perspective.
Wow, and I guess that scale was as it was really kind of realised with the Winter Olympics. That felt like a real moment for the platform, record-breaking engagement. I understand, and from your perspective, like why did that resonate so strongly on HBO Max, and kind of how does that differ from traditional broadcast experiences? And maybe you can talk to us about that.
Yeah, so I mean, I've been doing this a long time, and I see Carlo down here, and like none of what we're doing is new. Like this isn't really traditional broadcast experiences, and we've been doing stuff for 20-odd years where we've been trying to do different things. And I think finally what we're seeing now is the technology catching up with the audience. Like, and I think we really are at a tipping point now where there is an expectation from a streaming audience that is different than they've previously experienced. So I think the Olympic Games is an amazing event to work on, and from a product perspective it's a very interesting challenge. You essentially have 3 sets of customers. You have casual fans who come in and they might like things like curling. They don't really like curling, but they like it for a week. You have super fans who may be, downhill skiing fans. They may be fans of luge, and who really want to go deep into an experience. And then you have just general sports fans who want to experience the whole thing and find those best events. So, streaming allows you to escape from the EPG. It allows us to say to a customer, you can watch every single moment on Max. Whether you want to watch the third leg of, for Paris, for example, you want to watch small bore rifle shooting, you can spend all day watching small bore rifle shooting. If you want to catch the best of the Olympics, we will curate and provide you with the best. If you want to go deep into an event and you want to scrub back for every single moment that's happened, we'll provide that to you as well. And that is what streaming allows us to do. It allows us to offer that choice to the customer. And it worked really well for us. We saw 3x the number of viewing subscribers that we had with Beijing Winter Olympics in 22. We had triple-digit growth in our hours of consumption. Like, it was a very successful event for us, and one that we were really able to showcase the best of Max, not only the Olympic Games, but all of that other content that appears on Max as well.
So in terms of that showcase, then, I think you might have some content to help.
We're going to just play a video in the background, which just gives you an idea of the experience that we brought together for the Olympic Games. So the challenge we had, right, was like, how do you allow all of this content to shine amongst all of this other content that exists on Max? There is a finite amount of space. If we bring everything together, there is a finite amount of space that we can offer our customers to consume the Olympics at the same time as consuming all of this other pretty strong content that you have. So, hero on the homepage, you are left in no doubt that the Olympic Games is happening. Dedicated destination, dedicated lens on Max that allows us to really showcase all of those live events that are happening now, that are happening in the future. So when a customer comes to us, really they're in 3 different modes, right? It's what's happened, what's happening, and then what's going to happen. And the challenge we had was really building the experience that allows us to do that, and building an experience that didn't just work for one set of customers. We are in multiple markets, multiple languages, multiple local heroes that our team want to showcase. And that's an interesting challenge. And what literally you can see here, we don't have any audio, but if you had the audio, you would hear the commentators changing language as we go down. And then really for us, like it's, how do you then start to, really build on the benefit of the connected platform? So how do you make sure that, if our promise is you aren't going to miss a moment of the Olympic Games, how do we make sure that happens? So key moments is the big one, right? So what it allows you to do, scrub forward, scrub back, find those big moments that happened, jump in, jump out, and we're keeping the customer and the user in the story.
So you're really talking about fan engagement, different sorts of fans, different sorts of markets, different languages, but you're also catering as well. You talked about the different content sets that are on your platform. So how do you kind of, what are the key things you're optimizing for when thinking about the fan?
Yeah, I think
and with respect to different content types and
it's those three use cases, like what's happened, what's happening, what's going to happen. And live is the key, is the core of that, right? People come to us for those live moments. Now, how do we make sure that you just don't miss them, right? If we've got, we had up in Paris, we had up to 50 concurrent events. That is very hard for a customer to stay across. So things like gold medal alerts, there's an event happening here where the gold medal's about to happen. You can switch in, you can watch, you can come back to where you were. It's all about trying to keep the fan in the story and give them the tools that allow them to watch in as many ways as possible. We should have multiview coming up here as well, right? Multiview is something that's been around for some time, and it's something that, we struggle to get engagement with. But again, finally, the tech has caught up with the audience, and the audience has really embraced this. So we saw over a third of our Olympics users use multiview during the Winter Games. And they're using it for two reasons. One is, I want to keep across four things at once. But again, when you saw that discovery experience we've got, and how do we make sure that we can bring all of that content into the fore, then this is a really useful navigation tool. So what we're seeing is customers moving from sport to sport to sport, and then coming back again. And as we said, it's all about keeping you in that story.
So behind this incredible product experience that's delivering like value to fans and real, great experiences, there must be, an amazing amount of technology innovation happening. So things like AI personalisation must feature heavily in how you deliver these experiences. So how can you talk to us a little bit about how that technology is now helping shape that user experience and that outcome?
Yeah, so I think so if we talk about it at a platform level, 35,000 live events streamed globally, multiple languages, multiple formats, multiple devices, like that's our number one, right? How do we make sure that the customer, if they're moving to the streaming experience solely, has confidence in us that that's going to work straight away and it's going to work first time? Secondly, if we're trying to bring all of that content alive alongside all of that amazing entertainment content, how do you personalize it? How do you make it relevant for you? How do we make sure that you don't miss one of those moments? So really, if we talk about AI, it's doing two jobs for us. At the customer level, really, it's about personalization and how do we collect more signals about our customers' viewing behavior to make sure that we are putting the right content in front of them at the right time. So if you're a sports fan, your experience will be more sports-led. If you don't want to watch sports in the household, then sports will be less figured in the UI. So really it's about, how do we continue to evolve and personalize that experience? How do we make it easier for you to find the content that you like? And then kind of in the background, from a product perspective, what we're seeing now is the ability to test and automate and prototype at speed that we've never seen before. So I think there is a big push there just in the efficiency and how we improve this. And then really around like imagery. So again, all of these markets require different images in different formats that are going to work, some aren't. So how does the machine help us? One, collect, curate, format, and present the images? And secondly, how does the machine help us make sure that we are putting the right image in front of the customer at the right time and then adapting for us? And then finally, retention, right? So our core sort of KPIs is minutes per user and distinct streaming days. So if I can get you watching more and coming back more often, you get more value out of the service and you are less likely to leave. So how do we start to be more predictive in the ways that customers behave to make sure that we are continually driving those metrics, which means we're going to lose less customers?
Yeah, makes sense. So I suppose that links the technology to the business objectives, the business outcomes. So thinking about the business side of things, of the business side of streaming, let's say, with all this opportunity, all of this data, where does this go long term with regards to the balance between streaming, direct to consumer, traditional broadcast, advertising, targeted advertising? What does the sustainable kind of future for delivering these consumer experiences look like? Yeah,
look, I think each market is different depending on the content we have and the way that market is structured. Chris, there's some of the stuff that he said, there are distinct differences in markets, but, I'd see our future as a hybrid future, right? There are many ways to buy HBO Max direct. There are many ways to access HBO Max through our partnerships with, in this market with Amazon and with Sky. There are ad models. There are the ability to pay without ads. So I see that as very much a hybrid model going forward, and just really adapting that to the demand of the customer and just the changing nature of the customer and their behavior.
Yeah. So think just asking another question then, I guess, about the business model. Is the technology really driving the proven return on investment and the proven kind of demonstrated value of a streaming business model?
So how do you mean? I'm not quite sure.
I guess I want to dig into a little bit, maybe like the you mentioned the metrics and so on,
yeah.
And so you can now, presumably with all the data you've got, you can point to a product change and show a direct link between that and a business outcome.
You can. So there are lots and lots of tools, and those tools are becoming easier that allow us to predict whether a customer is going to stay or go. But ultimately, it's about the content, right? And our job is to get that customer to watch Game of Thrones, to watch the Premier League, to watch the Champions League. That's our job, and they're paying a premium price for premium content. So, our job is to make sure that content shines and we take away any friction that stops them accessing it. And I think that's it's a combination of the product and the tools that we've got, and then the content that we've got available.
So I guess then one final question, which is linked to content and linked to kind of fan experience. We've heard this. I mean, as a sports fan, I kind of think about this myself. As these experiences get more personalized, data driven, do you feel, and do the business feel, there's a risk of fans losing shared cultural moments that make big sporting events so special? And how do you kind of think about that trade-off?
Yeah, I think about as a professional and a sports fan. So I think what you saw there is our ability to really showcase these sports and bring them alive with the imagery, with the video, with the navigation. You can be left in no doubt that the Olympics was on. So I don't feel, whilst we personalize it, I think personalization is the sort of last mile. It's the right content, the right alert, the right match, the right key moment, and the right content for you to watch next. But I think from a live perspective, there aren't many surprises in life now, right? And I think Nick made a point yesterday about, is non-live going to be worth more than live? Well, none of that non-live stuff exists if the live product is not as good as it can be. And I think any of you who watched, if you watched the Munich PSG game the other night, if you watch York v Rochdale on Saturday, they are moments that you can't take away. And I just feel, that for me, sports is the last kind of bastion of, spontaneity and unpredictability and all of that kind of stuff. And without it, there's nothing else. So for me, I think from a sports fan's perspective, live is still the thing that drives everything. And I think from a product perspective, for us, Live is the premium product, and our job is to showcase the best of that and then get you to watch more. So you come for Liverpool and you stay for Dragons.
Well, it's a great way to end. Thank you very much, Dave. And thanks for sharing all your insights and letting us see what you're doing with HBO Max.